Ya les di las instrucciones atrás, ¿ok? Protéjense y peleen bien, ¿ok? Toquen los guantes. Gracias.
And we are ready to go with Cesar Diaz and Jose Naranjo. Rudy Barragan is our third man in the ring. Third fight of the night here at the Fancy Springs Resort and Casino. Golden Boy Promotions bringing it to you. Beto Duran, Steve Kim, and Doug Fisher. We are underway. 4 rounds in the super bantamweight division. Cesar Omar Diaz. Omar right there on his middle of his trunks from Palmdale, California. He is 19 years old. 2 pro fights this year, both of them ending in 3rd round KOs. His opponent, Jose Naranjo, Tijuana, Mexico. Was born in Tabasco. Veteran of 30 pro rounds. He's only been fighting for 5 years. He's actually a welder by day, boxer by night. And he's always loved the sport, had a lot of amateur fights, but he said welding and TJ, a lot of money to be made if you get up to those high rises, and that's what he does during the day.
Naranjo looks like a decent athlete. Just looking at his body, it's cut up, it's ripped up, but he's in there with a young man. Even though he's 19 years old, because of his amateur background, he does bring some experience to his 3rd pro fight, and he's somebody very tall and rangy for a bantamweight, and he seems to box to really give himself, to make the most of those advantages.
I've been ringside for both his fights, which took place July 15th and July 30th. I think early on you could certainly brand him as a prospect. I know he's managed by Joel Diaz, who has a very deep roster of blue chippers, including Virgil Ortiz and Luis Soria. I think this kid has a very, very bright future.
Cesar Diaz went to Knight High School in Palmdale, which is about hour 45 north of downtown Los Angeles. Not exactly a hotbed of boxing. Because of that, in order to get quality rounds, he drives the 2+ hours to Indio to spar against Diego De La Hoya. He'll drive down to Glendora to take on Joel Gonzalez, the Golden Boy prospect. Goes down to Southern California gyms all the time, 2-3 times a week. He said it's longer driving than the actual sparring, but he knows that he has to put in those kind of road miles in order to get better as a professional. Trained by Samuel Contreras. They met when he was 11 years old. Sam, a lot of amateurs, his first pro fighter. But he just knew that this kid had something special about him, the way he approached himself.
And Beto, you talk about driving for sparring. I still remember Antonio Orozco about 4 or 5 years ago making a 2-hour drive from San Diego before they built the House of Boxing gym up to Maywood. They actually literally used to sleep in the van for a couple of hours till the gym was open. And Antonio Orozco will be taking on Fidel Maldonado right here in the same venue, December 16th.
That's a terrific matchup.
Frisco kid, Fidel Maldonado from New Mexico. Orozco from San Diego. Another Garden City, Kansas kid. Opening round scheduled for 4, the super bantamweight division. Cesar Diaz, Jose Naranjo. Working our way towards Mauricio Herrera, Pablo Cesar Cano. Good opening round between these two. Diaz sat down with the Ring TV cameras.
Well, training camp was really good. We worked really hard. The weight was perfect, and we're ready to fight. We prepared ourselves a lot by sparring a lot of professionals, a lot of pros with the same style. I know my opponent is short, so we've been sparring a lot of short people too, and that's the way we prepared ourselves. I like to fight. I like challenges, and you know, that's the only way to get known and move up, by fighting someone hard.
Seeing some body work from Naranjo, trying to come over the top with sort of a right haymaker, but Diaz really took that round on the strength of a very stiff jab. Diaz had some nice body shots as well.
Cesar Diaz, Palmdale, California. Mom and dad were born in Jalisco. He was actually born in Aguascalientes, Mexico. I just like saying Aguascalientes because that means Doug Fisher can tell the stories about calling a fight there in a bull ring.
A bull coliseum.
Bull coliseum. Oh, you went fancy. You went big time.
That's how they do it in Aguascalientes.
Diaz, over 100 friends and family are here in attendance for this fight. sparred Lomachenko. And Jojo Diaz will be fighting December 18th at the Forum. Why are you sparring Jojo as a southpaw? I need to get experience. He's thinking.
Yeah. That is some amazing gym work right there.
And
That's what, I mean, really, that's what makes Southern California such a hotbed for professional boxing.
And keep the tweets coming using hashtag RingTV Live, like Cynthia leaving work from UCLA on the 405, plugged into the aux, listening to us. She's not watching the fight,
Eyes
but
on
she's
the
listening.
road. Eyes on the road, please.
Friday on the 405. I mean, you can watch the fight. You're not going anywhere. Thanks, as always,
true.
for the support. Appreciate it. And of course, our security blanket, Linus in Philadelphia, watching. You're watching Cesar Diaz take on Jose Naranjo.
And Naranjo, if you take a look at his record, lost 3 in a row, 4 of his last 5, but all of those, his last 3 were against undefeated foes, including Hector Tanahara Jr., who stopped him in 1.
That was on the Canelo Cotto card. And here he is loading up is Diaz.
And Beto, he's switch hitting here. Most of those big left hands came out of the southpaw stance.
Yeah, but the left is doing some damage to Naranjo right now.
And he's doing this in front of Golden Boy President Eric Gomez, who just sat down, and Golden Boy matchmaker Roberto Diaz. And they have a keen eye on Cesar Diaz right now.
I like those uppercuts. And he switched him up. He was landing with the left and with the right. And I like how when he lands a punch, he changes his foot position and then gets off from a different angle. He never just squares up in front of his opponent.
Is that more of an advanced technique?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you'd be surprised. I mean, there's some fighters out there who are top 10 contenders that don't do that. They get away with it because they're super tough and they've got heavy hands, and that's just what they do. They stand in front of you and grind you down, but the expert way to do it is to continually change your foot position when you're on the inside.
Diaz managed by Joel Diaz, no relation. Trained by Sam Contreras. Tonio Diaz also in the corner tonight. I mean, getting quality sparring in the Coachella Valley.
Oh, yeah.
You're
And
seeing the results.
yeah, having the Diaz brothers in your corner and having Joel manage you, that's a lot of experience there. They have so much combined boxing experience in and out of the ring to impart to a young man like this.
Heavy shots being landed by Diaz here in the second round. 19-year-old from Palmdale looking good.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you head on over to the Tecate Formal Bar area right now.
We're seeing Diaz get undershots and counterpunch at the same time. He did a lot of damage with his left hook. There's a right uppercut to the body, a left to the body. And his head and his body are moving at all times. He did get caught with a right cross from Naranjo, who did not come here to lay down.
Over?
On the corner's instructions.
The fight has been stopped. Naranjo's corner has stopped it.
Doc, you want to come on over? The corner's
They're actually
stopping it.
here. Rudy Barragan has the microphone. They want the doctor to come check out
La van a parar on the corner's
And the fight
advice.
has stopped. The corner for Naranjo has stopped it. He stays on his stool, doesn't come out for the third round. And Cesar Diaz, the 19-year-old who was just getting warmed up, is now 3-0 with 3 KOs in his career.
And Naranjo took a beating in that second round. Maybe there's something wrong with his hand, maybe something wrong with his jaw. We don't know yet.
Corner on the advice of the corner, stop the fight.
And there you hear Rudy with on the advice of the corner, stops the fight with Cesar Diaz.
Got his wraps up.
Our main event tonight, Mauricio Herrera in the building, El Maestro. Riverside, not too far of a drive. He sells some tickets here at the Fancy Springs Resort Casino. Walking in, he does look different for this fight than he did in Vegas, Steve.
Well, Beto, he admitted for the fight May 7th against Frankie Gomez, he basically made weight. That's another way of saying fat camp. I think the layoff that he had from his fight against Hank Lundy at the Los Angeles Sports Arena really affected him, and quite frankly didn't do his job by staying in the gym. I think he realizes how important this fight is in terms of his late career prospects. He's 36 years old. Another loss, I think, would be catastrophic for his fortunes.
Yeah, and that story that you wrote on UCN Live, go and check it out right now while we have a break, about Mauricio Herrera taking on Pablo Cesar Cano. Very candid. I mean, you didn't write Fat Camp, but
Yeah.
he said he stayed out of the gym
Yeah.
and didn't realize how hard it was to get back in there. He gave Frankie Gomez his credit for winning that night, but he sounds different from reading your story.
You know, there's nothing that wakes up a fighter than a loss. Adversity, to me, is the great motivator. I think that when you win, that can camouflage a lot of things. At that point in time, guys, we were all there. He was 35 years old, and age is just a number. And, Doug, he looked like an old 35 on that night.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Herrera can't handle a loss. He has lost before, but he never lost decisively.
Yeah.
All of his previous losses, either a lot of people thought that he actually won the fight, or he gave his opponent hell. And that was the first time we saw him just completely outclassed.
Yeah.
And it was by a young guy who was known for not being the most Spartan of athletes. So that, I think that hurt his pride.
Right, and also stylistically, the night before, Cano fought a guy, I think it was Alan Sanchez.
Yes, it was.
Just a bad style. Really tall, a lot of movement. I get the sense in talking to Robert Diaz, he likes the way these guys fit together inside that ring.
A quality matchup. And you were talking about two solid 10, 12-round fighters, two guys who have challenged for major world titles. And, of course, both of them want to do so again. To do that, they have to win.
And there you see Sam Contreras with his young fighter, Cesar Diaz, improves to 3-0. Coming through with the Eastside Barbershop sponsorship. Okay, I see you working. You got sponsored now. A couple fights in it. There you go. Pablo's ready to go.
Palmdale, California, en Aguascalientes, Mexico, Cesar Omar Diaz.
There he is. Cesar Diaz is now 3-0 in the 19-year-old. 3 fights this year, 3-0. Good debut for him, for the Golden Boy fighter from Palmdale, California.
He looks really promising. I love his technique. I love the sharpness. He's got decent hand speed, obviously some pop on the end of his punches, and he seems to be a student of the game as we watch some highlights of this bout.
And Doug, you mentioned this earlier, he'll be a bantamweight eventually, just 19 years old. He's got something you cannot teach, that is size and length. I think by the time he gets to the mid-20s, again, I don't want to forecast too far ahead, I could easily see him at 18, 22, and eventually growing into a full-fledged featherweight.